Is you are in an argument, and you realize somewhere in the middle of it that you are wrong. You can feel it. The other person has the better case. And something in you hardens anyway. You dig in. You find a new angle. You would rather win than learn. We have all been there, defending a position we no longer believe, because to let it go would feel like losing a piece of ourselves. That feeling has a name, and it is the oldest sin of all. It is pride, and its cure is the one virtue the modern world has forgotten how to praise. We have made humility sound like weakness, like a bowed head and a small life. It is neither. It is the quiet strength that the proud will never have.
But let us be clear about what humility is not. It is not thinking that you are worthless. That is its own kind of obsession with the self. The man who cannot stop telling you how small he is still talking about himself. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. It is the freedom of no longer needing to be the most important person in the room, of no longer measuring every moment by what it means for you. The proud man carries himself everywhere he goes like a weight he cannot put down. The humble man has set the weight down, and so he is light, and he can see other people clearly, perhaps for the first time.
But humility has a counterfeit, and it is everywhere now. It is the performance of modesty, the practice self-deprecation, the humble brag. It is pride that has learned to wear humility's clothes because it noticed that we admire them. The man who tells you he is just so blessed while listing every blessing. The woman who calls her great success pure luck and waits for you to disagree. This is not humility. It is vanity, fishing for reassurance. True humility does not announce itself, because the moment it does, it is gone. You cannot be proud of how humble you are. The instant you reach for the credit, you have already lost the thing. Real humility is quiet, because it has stopped keeping score.
Char is a way to find your own pride because it hides well. Watch what you defend. Watch what you cannot bear to be wrong about. Notice the moment your chest tightens. When someone questions you, that tightening is the map. It shows you exactly where your sense of self has fused to an opinion, to a reputation, to an image you are desperate to protect. The envious man's wound told him what he wanted. The proud man's defensiveness tells him what he fears. And what he fears is always the same thing: to be seen as less than he needs to be. So look at what you guard most fiercely. That is not your strength. That is the place where you are most afraid.
There is an old story about the most powerful man in a room. On the last night, before everything fell apart, he gathered the people who followed him, and instead of taking the highest seat, he took off his outer robe. He knelt on the floor, and he began to wash their feet, the work of the lowest servant in the house. One of them refused. It was too uncomfortable to watch the master kneel, and the master said, "If I, who you call teacher, have done this, then so must you. Understand what this is. It is not a man who was lowly, pretending to be high. It is a man who was high, choosing to go low, with nothing forcing him. That is the whole of the virtue. Greatness is not measured by how many serve you. It is measured by how willingly you will serve."
So, and there's the opposite story, the one pride always ends in. A king who ruled the greatest empire of his age stood on the roof of his palace, looked out over the city he had built, and said, "Is this not great? By my own power, for my own glory." He had forgotten that he was a man. He believed he was the source of his own greatness.
And the account says that on that very day his reason left him, and he lived like an animal in the fields until he remembered what he was. This is what pride does every time, in every life. It does not announce the fall. It simply lifts you so high and so alone that you forget the ground that holds you up. The proud do not trip over their weaknesses. They trip over the one weakness they refuse to see.
Now hear why humility is not just good, but powerful. The proud man cannot learn. This is his true poverty. To learn anything, you must first admit you do not know it, and pride will not let him. So he stops growing at exactly the moment he becomes impressive. The humble man has an unfair advantage. He can be taught. He can hear the hard feedback without flinching. He can take the better idea from a junior, because he is not protecting a throne. He only wants to get it right. Over years, this gap becomes enormous. The proud man defends the person he already was. The humble man keeps becoming someone better. And in the end, it is not even close.
This is how humility cures the oldest sin. Pride is a wall. It seals you inside a single finished version of yourself and calls every correction an attack. Humility is a door. It opens you to the one thing the proud can never receive: help. The proud man stands alone at the top because he has placed himself above everyone, and you cannot learn from, or love, or be saved by anyone you stand above. The humble man can be reached. He can be mentored, forgiven, changed. He has done the one thing pride forbids. He has made himself small enough to let other people in, and a life with other people let in is the only life worth living.
So begin with the smallest practice, and it is harder than it sounds. Give the credit away. When the work goes well, name the people who helped and mean it. When someone praises you, do not deflect it with false modesty, and do not hoard it. Simply say thank you, and pass what you can to those who earned it beside you. Watch how much this cost you at first. Watch the small hunger to be seen as the reason. That hunger is the pride. Starve it. The strange thing is that the man who gives credit away is trusted more, not less. We can feel the difference between someone gathering glory and someone who has stopped needing it.
Then learn to say 3 words that pride finds almost impossible. I was wrong. Not mistakes were made. Not I'm sorry you feel that way. Those are pride in disguise. The clean admission with no excuse trailing behind it. I was wrong, and you were right. And its companion just as hard. I don't know. Can you teach me? Every time you say these words, something in the proud self dies a little, and something far better grows in its place. You will notice that people do not think less of you for it. They trust you more, because you have shown them you care about the truth more than you care about looking right.
There is a height to this virtue, and it is invisible on purpose. It is the good done with no name attached, the help given in a way that asks for nothing back. The proud man needs an audience for everything, because without witnesses, his deeds feel wasted. The humble man has discovered the strange freedom of the unseen act, the favor no one will ever trace to him, the quiet correction of a wrong that earns him nothing. He is not building a monument. He has stopped trying to be remembered. And in letting go of being remembered, he becomes, in the quietest way, unforgettable to the few who happen to see what he does when he thinks no one is watching.
Do not mistake the comfortable version for the real one. It is easy to be humble about things you do not care about. The test comes at the place where your identity lives, to take the correction in the very thing you are proud of being good at, to let someone younger or newer or less impressive be right in front of others, to apologize first when you are only half to blame, because someone has to. That is where humility costs something and where it begins to set you free. The proud man spends his whole life defending a fortress. The humble man walks out of it and discovers the fortress was the prison.
Fourth, everything. This is built by practice, not by admiration. No one ever became humble by agreeing that humility is good. You become it in the small, unwatched moments, one choice at a time. Tomorrow you will be wrong about something. Say so plainly, the moment you know. Someone will deserve credit you would rather keep. Give it to them out loud. Someone will be able to teach you something if you can bear to look like a beginner. Ask. Do this on the easy days so that it holds on the day your pride is truly on the line. This is the work. It is quiet, and no one will applaud it. And that is exactly how you will know that it is real.
Of the 7 cures, this one comes near the beginning, because until a man can bend, nothing else can grow in him. The kind heart can still be proud. The generous hand can still be vain. But once you have set down the weight of yourself, you can finally see the others around you, and you can begin, at last, to give. For the humble hand is an open hand. It holds nothing back to protect itself. And what a man does with an open hand, what he gives and what he keeps, is the next sickness and the next cure. Before that, though, practice this one. Tomorrow, when you are wrong, say so. It is the bravest small thing you will do all week.